welcome to Reading with Kermie. It's a Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock, and I'm Chris, aka Kermie, like I said, and welcome to Reading with Kermie. Like I also said, I like to repeat myself sometimes. This is Don't Stress the Small Stuff Book 2 with the family, and we're moving right along, and I must say that's one reason why I take a lot of breaks from this, so we can stretch this book out as long as we can. It's a good book, and like I said, we're moving right along quite goodly. And this chapter's called Let Yourself Off the Hook. We all need that from time to time, huh? Let's see what it has to say about letting ourselves off the hook, shall we? Okay, let yourself off the hook. My dear wife, Chris, saved me one day with this comforting suggestion. I had been working very hard, traveling quite a bit on business, and was dreadfully behind on several of my projects. I had let my schedule get a little out of control, and I hadn't had a minute to myself in several weeks. I was at least a week behind on returning phone calls and had missed several important social engagements, as well as two very significant events that my daughter were involved in. I was feeling overwhelmed, and as though everyone was mad at me. At the same time, my office looked extremely disorganized, and since I had been so busy to exercise, let me start that over. And since I had been too busy to exercise, I felt like I was getting out of shape. That's when Chris, bless her heart, gave me a hug and said, "Richard, let yourself off the hook." She reminded me that I didn't have to be perfect and that it wasn't possible to be all the things to all people all the time or any of the time. I had clearly drifted off balance, and it was time to regain my bearings. Yes, let's regain our bearings, folks, together. Carrying on. Chris's point is an important one for so many of us. Often we try to do everything. We work hard, stay organized, try our best to be good parents, spouses, friends, and concerned citizens. At the same time, we try to squeeze some exercise into the mix and pay our taxes. Second tax. Anyway, we bake, clean our homes constantly, walk the dog, and take care of the garden. In addition, some of us volunteer our time and even try to do some reading. Like we are now, we get this opportunity. Be blessed. Be blessed. Sometimes it's all too much to handle. This is the time to let yourself off the hook. Remind yourself that you don't have to be perfect or put yourself on a pedestal. You never have to do that. If you've been really busy and don't have time to get the house cleaned, see if you can put it off until a little later. If 3 friends called in the same day asking you to return their calls and you feel tired or overwhelmed, or too overwhelmed, see if you can wait a day to respond, or at least call them and be honest about how you are feeling, and see if you can postpone the conversation. Or if you mess up and forget an appointment, rather than berate yourself for how stupid you are, see if you can use the mistake as a signal that you probably have too much on your plate, which you probably do at this point. In this day and age, when so many of us are trying to be perfect or act like we are super people, it's tremendously helpful to let yourself off the hook. As simple as it sounds, reminding yourself that you don't have to be perfect is an excellent way to lighten up and take some pressure off yourself. Pressure cooker. Yeah. And in my example above, when I was able to give myself a break in this manner, my life seemed to come back together very quickly. As I began to relax, my kids and friends offered me more compassion, and my work life began to mellow a bit. Within a relatively short period of time, my life was back to normal. In fact, was better than normal. From time to time, I still have to remind myself of the same thing. But each time I do, I discover the beauty of this simple message. And that simple message is, folks, give yourself a break. Let yourself off the hook a little bit. That's a good reading and a good reminder for me even to slow down, because I know there's many times in my life, my own personal life, that I do overwhelm myself. And of course, we all can get there with ourselves. And be busy, have too much on our schedule, run around like a chicken with our head cut off. Been there, done that, and no, it probably won't be the last time I'll be been there, done that. But anyway, that chapter was a great reminder just to let yourself off the hook. We don't have to be perfect. There's no competition where we have to be perfect or act perfect like some of us think we do time to time. I, myself, in my own personal experience right now, I've been off on quarantine vacation, I guess I can call it. This little staycation. Before this whole lockdown started and this virus took out, I was going to school, taking night classes 5 days a week, working weekends, and now pretty much everybody was been forced to slow down and stay at home and do what we got to do to stay safe. So now I'm not going to school, I'm not working, and that's been since March 15th for both things. So I've been, like a lot of us have, been on lockdown. Woo! But I have been taking this opportunity for myself I've been taking advantage of the lockdown. I've been giving myself more self-care. It's taught us to slow down a little bit. Yes, a lot of us are anxious to go back into society and get things rolling again, of course. But while we are in this time, I have given myself that time to get back in more of my hobbies. Like I said, lots of self-care and grounding on a daily basis, because to me these days that's important. That keeps me centered and keeps me focused on things, even though there's times in my life, like now, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going. A lot of us can feel the same thing, but I know it gets clearer once we just slow down and take a breath. To stay grounded, to stay at peace with ourselves and not have that chaotic mind and heart all the time. Because, I remember about a year and a half ago, I suffered a great big deal of psychosis that freaked me out. Why? Because my life was overwhelmed and I wasn't slowing down. A lot of people thought fucking I was on drugs for weeks. No, it was just my mind under major psychosis. So I broke up with the girl I was with and decided to move in with my sister on a couch, and here we are later, and we have a 2-bedroom apartment. We're doing pretty well for ourselves. I love my ex still, of course. Have love for her, but I had to get a way to get closer to myself again and figure out my bearings with the whole situation. But just let yourself off the hook. I have, finally, after all that head trauma. Anyway, I'm healing, and that's what I'm using this quarantine time for. I'm still off work. I'm still not going to school. I don't know when anything's going to open up yet. But anyway, I'm just being patient and taking care of me in the meantime. And that's the best thing we can do. Any of us can do, really. I mean, we're not working. We're not going to school, and etc. So just take that little suggestion. Let yourself off the hook. I don't know. I think I'm just going to take it easy today. Yesterday was a fun day. My friend Nutshell came from Seattle to hang out with me for a few hours. We just ran on errands together, but that was like my second connection since the quarantine started. So, yes, we're anxious to open things up, but gotta be patient at the same time. Anyway, I hope you guys got something out of that reading and the spiel I had to share. And you guys have a wonderful day, and enjoy the afternoon to the best of your ability. Peace. One love. Alright. Peace.